So we've titled this a sleek solution for bars, pubs, and more casual settings. And I think going back to history of tavern pizza, it's quite important to go back to the roots and see how's that come about.
Mm-hmm.
And tavern style pizza originated in sort of Midwestern Chicago. And you know, the bit about it is that post-prohibition years had a boom in obviously had a boom in bars and sort of taverns and drinking culture. So a lot of bars and a lot of places which were serving alcohol really were looking for really simple and a snack that would accompany drinks, but that would be really recognizable. And I think Midwest theme to it is really, really important because people sort of ask question, why is a cracker thin, and why is anything to do with Chicago, why is it a little bit pastry like, etc. And the short answer to it is corn and corn flour. You'll have quite a lot of and mixing corn with wheat. Chicago wheat market was traditionally in the 30s. It was the first proper sort of global wheat trading, and to date, Chicago trading sort of board of wheat is pegging quite a lot of prices on a day-to-day basis, like with Liffey in London or whatever. But what we've got is we've got a dough that's got some sort of a corn grit mixed in, and that provides this sort of almost pastry-like quality. And it's be it with the deep dish that's sort of super advertised, and people well know that Chicago Town is, it's been popularized by a certain supermarket and a certain
indeed
brand.
Yes,
it couldn't be it's far removed from what the original Chicago Town is. The proper Chicago Town pizza is literally like a pie. It's literally like a flan almost, with a crisp sort of with crumbly pastry. But so those taverners and those bars started serving those super thin, often sheeted with like a set of rollers, sort of pies as they call them, topped all the way to the edge and cut into squares so people can have bites as they drink, as they chat and socialize. So a customer could pick up a square in one hand and a beer in the other. You know, they could, and I've got a couple of nice historical pictures to show just that. And you can just see on the first photo, you'll have those little trays and bits of parchment paper, and that's how the dough would be rolled. It would be sort of the paper parchment would be sort of preventing sticking of the dough to the tray, etc. And
I'm just going to turn my camera off so I'm not staring at myself, if that's okay. It's a bit off-putting.
That's okay. But then you have you could do it almost as in a production line style. So they could be pre-made and they could be done in advance, and then they would be served, as you can see, on those aluminium trays, and people would just have couple of beers and I think on the picture on the right hand side you can see the pizza on the aluminium tray, but it's super thin, it's cracker thin, topped with cheese and sauce and sometimes pepperoni and sometimes pickled vegetables, which are chili vegetables, which is sort of the sort of Chicago thing. The unique process behind tavern pizza is super important, and I think as we go on that journey and we're trying to open this market, we're trying to raise awareness and we're trying to almost create a trend in UK. And I think in my case, it was really important to start from the very original process. So if we have sort of other manufacturers coming up with Chicago Tavern, you know, there'll be for sure that they might mimic the original process, and we could say to customers and we could inform customers and make them aware that we are actually delivering a original solution from ground up. So the key is that the tavern pizza is very, very thin, crispy, and crunchy, yet very, very delicate, and that's technically very hard to achieve. Usually, the dough is made, so the mock tavern pizza dough is usually achieved by just making a tighter dough and tougher dough, which is really tough and chewy. It's not a sort of cream cracker like consistency, but it's all very chewy and very, very dense. We have based our dough on the pre-ferment, and the pre-ferment usually adds a lot of flavor, and it does allow us to use stronger flour, because pre-ferment tends to condition that flour and make it less chewy, less rubber ball, more digestible and lighter. So we've added pre-ferment, which adds flavor, aroma, and conditions the gluten, ensuring the dough is not tough and cracker-like, like tough cracker-like, delicately brittle. And I think that's the key. I think you have nowhere to hide if your pizza is thin and crispy, because if it's bland and horrible and not very aromatic, you won't be able to enjoy it. It's almost like smearing some tomato sauce and cheese on a very tough cracker. It's not great. So dough is proofed and mechanically rolled. So it could be done with a rolling pin. If you're looking to roll out to pubs and bars and groups of pubs and bars, then a really cheap, a low end rolling system that's like £200 would just ensure that it's consistent and it's simple and it's easily trainable. And the edges are sometimes trimmed with a pizza wheel and pressed to ensure no bubbling in the oven, and I can show that with our specimen in a minute. But we sort of working the other way round than usual sort of Neapolitan or traditional pizza, because in traditional pizza, what we're looking for is the open texture, is the soft texture, is the nice and fluffy crumb. Here we're doing everything to prevent it. So we're going to be pressing the dough on the edges. We're going to be if you have this sort of raised edge, and I can show it in a minute, usually it's sort of trimmed with the pizza wheel, and then the most original part of that process is curing of the skins. And in American Chicago, a pre-rolled dough ball is called a skin, and then that skin is dried out, often with parchment paper in between, all the way up to even a day or two, and that ensures that the outer layer is super dry, and then the dough is flipped. So the outer layer is sort of flipped to the bottom, and then the bottom layer, it becomes the top layer and is topped. And that ensures the base is super crispy, super crunchy. It presents operators with an opportunity to just make it in advance, and it's just so super simple to store and to use, and you can have a bank of your skins on a sort of in boxes or in crates, and just use it. They don't have to be stored in the chiller. The more air exposure, the better. You sort of can see here the skins as they are on the parchment paper. And on the left-hand side, we have an unkilled one. And on the right-hand side, one that's been subject to half of or a day of curing. You can see the sort of skin growing, and that also, what that does, it just really provides a super crispy bottom. It's really important to educate users that side has to be flipped and it's on the bottom. And what that does, it also enables the operators not to use a pizza oven, because usually we will have a stone oven that would crisp up the bottom. Here, the crisping up of the bottom is taken care of by the air drying. Hence, if you flipped it and topped it, you can put it in a regular oven, convection oven, even some sort of, I call them a cheap Nisbet or a Dexa toaster ovens, and it will have this sort of effect of a stone bake.
Mm-hmm.
So the dough skins are flipped top to edge. We don't really want to be leaving an edge and a gap without any sauce or cheese, because we want the toppings to suppress the bubbling. We have giardiniera, which is a very, very typical Midwest spicy mix of crunchy pickles and chilies on top. So
Right. That sounds great.
yeah, it's fantastic, and but it also explains why the pizza needs to be, it can't be floppy. So if you pick up that
Yeah.
little square, it needs to be able to hold that mix and hold quite a lot of heavy toppings. What you don't want to be having is and here um, lies the sort of difficulty in manufacturing of tavern pizza. It just has to be done the right way. Otherwise, you're going to end up with sort of soggy squares of pizza that's difficult to pick up. That's not holding you will have to sort of fold the squares to hold the toppings. The real Chicago Tavern pizza is really sort of robust, and you can pick up it's almost like a canapé, really. Baked in a lower heat around 250 degrees for approximately 9 minutes until golden brown in conventional oven. And then pizza is sliced into small squares, which can be shared. The base should be crispy and crunchy, easy for diners to pick up by hand. Um, it's visually very appealing, and I think
Mm.
visually is a good sharing item, be it on the board, on the plate, but it's just got that sort of different look, and it's got that different sort of visual proposition. On the right hand side, I've tried to find a giardiniera topping, and it seems to be that you have some pickled chilies on there and some various vegetables. So you can see that, in a way, it can hold a sort of contrasting topping that provide a sort of flavor, sort of another flavor dimension if you're drinking, and if you're having a
Mm.
cocktail, you're having a beer or a wine. It sort of is an alternative to bowl of olives, etc. Or
Absolutely.
antipasti, or you can put antipasti and olives on top of it. So, you know, we summarize it by saying, why would you love it? And why would an operator say it's an interesting proposition? It's very easy to prep in advance. So the cured doughs can be pre-rolled and held until service, saving time and guaranteeing uniformity. So during the really a busy service time, we have, we literally topping, it's literally cheese and toast. Like there's no skills required, can be turned around really quickly, and you have very, very low failure rates. So you can have bar staff actually topping them and baking them and serving them in a quite quick turnaround. There's no special kit required, and unlike Neapolitan or deep dish, tavern style can be baked in a simple sheet pans in any regular oven. And I think quite a lot of times there would be pubs which would have redundant kitchens, and when you have pubs and bars that have redundant kitchen, and might be having some ovens that were previously used, be it Falcons or Rationales. You don't really need to move in with a dedicated pizza oven to start serving tavern. It's consistently crispy. It really means that and I'm not joking here. The more you abuse it, the better and crispier it becomes. So there's absolutely no concern about being dry, being left out, be, being made too early. So the greatest hits of kitchen failures are working for your benefit here, because the pizza is super crisp, and it's just super forgiving, and the curing process enhances the flavor of the dough itself. We have to remember that it's a yeasted dough. So as the dough is curing, is also fermenting. So if we are, but the curing and the skin on top prevents the dough from bubbling and growing the usual way. So if we are leaving the skins for a day or two, it furtherly enhances the flavor and aroma it enhances the crisp because in a nutshell, we have a long fermented dough on our hands. And then the first to market in the UK. Now, I could only find 2 or 3 operators that would do Chicago Tavern style. There were quite there was quite a brouhaha on the Instagram. I think it's a very Instagrammable style, especially if you apply. Especially if you apply dressings and apply pickles on pizza. It's a huge trend this and last year in America. And leaves, pickles, dressings on top. It just makes it very dramatic for photos and sort of very unique. So it's and it offers a sort of it offers a history, tradition, nostalgia. So you can just see that sort of a cocktail bar that sort of links themselves to prohibition. It's what was the I was thinking about the other day, and it sort of has this sort of Godfather style, nostalgia, and
yeah.
you mean like a bit of a history to it and a bit of a personality, if you say it's not just happened. And these days we have some. I mean, Rachel at Ace Pizza in London, she claims she serves London style pizza, and majority of people just saying, well, it doesn't have really. You've just really come up with that. It hasn't got any history. It hasn't got any substance to it. We think tavern pizza it's got quite a lot of story to be told. And, and it's a perfect fit for modern times because we're looking at low labor solution that balances wet and dry takings in a pub in a bar. It's perfect with busy kitchens, don't require a pizza chef or wood-fired oven. Caters to customers who love sharing tasty snacks with friends. I mean, I've launched a very similar concept, which wasn't really tavern pizza, although now I'm thinking it would have been ideal for them. For a chain of cinemas that serve food, and they are working with frozen dough, and they are working with dough rollers, and you go to see a movie, and you're being served a fresh pizza really quickly. So all of those sort of pockets of the market where people would be thinking, well, it's not really, not really doing cooked food. We don't really we're just doing sharing platters of meats and olives, or we're doing tacos and plates, or sort of snacks. Is perfect for that. It doesn't require a pizza chef or a wood-fired oven, and caters to customers who love sharing tasty snacks with friends. So we think it's a very good proposition.